did it crash? Because I had little knowledge of the app, but I went for it. So, which is why in everything that I do now, I apply my 3 Ps, which I'd like to say is planning, persistence, and passion. So when you want to do something, you need to make sure that you understand the groundwork. Planning, which is important. What is your foundation? Planning, what are you planning to achieve? How much money are you going to need to keep it running until the profit that you want? So that's one thing which I had not looked at when I started my application, when I still had little knowledge. I knew that I wanted to do farming. I knew that I wanted it to be digital, to change the world, but I had little knowledge. And that is why at first my application crashed. I'm just being honest. I don't want to glamorize it and make it look all perfect and how you can just make it just like that. No. So you do need the money. And according to your scale of how much you think you're going to impact the world, that goes with the money as well. It goes with the money as well. Because when it let me give you an example as well. In my farm, when I started, I didn't have the money to buy the kind of stock that I wanted. So I had to ask my grandparents for the stock at home, the livestock that they have, because you know, there's always livestock. Gogo always has a cow, they always have pigs or something there. So I started with that. I started with the livestock at home, and I would go to, I'm originally from Giani. So there's a place where we call Ben Store. It's like the town there where you get everything and so forth. And we'll just put a bucket by the side of the town, by the side of the street there, and we'll be selling chickens. The cows, you just take my number, I'll deliver it to you, and so forth. So money is required, yeah, according to your standard of how much you want to make it out.
Yeah, even if it's granny's money, it's fine.
Yeah, you have to. You have to, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it back to you, Sandiso, to say, okay, so if Ronica is saying, we understand that, okay, we want to achieve digital wealth, we want to build our businesses in the digital age, right? So we do need money, right? Even if it's from, you know, taking granny's livestock at first, or, you know, selling her chickens and then making money and building from that. Then, Sandiso, why are people so hell-bent, you know, especially when you start a business, to say, put it online, get it on social media, push it on your, you know, your page, you know, start a YouTube channel. Why are people so hell-bent when there are already a lot of people doing that? And Ronica just specifically said, with all of that, people, you know, that have their stories and run their businesses online, she still encounters challenges. Why can't we go somewhere online and read everything and then we are ready to start a business?
Okay, so that's a brilliant question. So you can go somewhere online and read everything. So I published a book called The 10-Minute Guide to Starting a Business, Lessons Entrepreneurs Learn the Hard Way. So it's available on Amazon, it's available on the Google Play Store. You can also buy it on our website, the10minuteguide.com. So, to answer the first question. So there's absolutely nowhere in the world where you can start a business with no money. It never happens, ever. So if you think that's going to happen, so there are two things that you need to make any business successful. Number one, you need to find a recurring customer problem to solve. Because recurring problems, because recurring solutions, because recurring income. Yes. Once you've done that, you've now got to figure out, like Ronica says, how much it's going to cost you to run your business for the first 3 years until you get profitable. On average, it takes any business 3 years to get to a point of profitability. So you've got to figure out how much all of that is going to cost you, including your salary. Now, to answer your question, Trina, what often happens now is we've got two sections of people who share information around how to build and start a business. One is much bigger, one is much smaller. The biggest section of people who share information about starting a business are motivational speakers who don't typically run businesses themselves. And they say really fun things like, you can start anywhere, start with what you have, All you need is, wake up and follow this routine, and and then you have a very small section who don't make noise like myself, because what we focus on is actually making sure that business number 1 survives their first 3 years. Business number 2 survives their next 3 years. To give you some perspective, opening a physical store is much easier than going digital. Opening a physical store is more expensive, but it's easy. Because all you have to do is find a location that's busy, put up your signs, open your store. If you go digital, having a website doesn't say to people you exist.
Yeah.
First, you've got to make sure that you appear on a Google search. People find your products. And when you market online, you've got to retarget your advertisements on Google, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. That is a lot harder to do, because you'll spend 20,000 rands, people will like your page, and nobody will buy anything. If you spend 5,000 rands on pamphlets and distribute it to a robot, at the end of the week, you'll have money in your account. So digital is much more complicated, but the advantage of digital is you reach so many more people if you get it right. What that means is, it's a money investment, it's a time investment, it's also about finding the right information, okay? And I'm gonna tie up my answer with this. It's super important that as entrepreneurs, you stop taking advice from people who don't own businesses. If you're sick, you don't go to a plumber for medical advice. And you have to understand that the people around you, they love and care about you. They don't want to see you stressed. So if you say, my employees are not coming to work, and it's month end, they'll say, hey, let's close a business and get a job, So people will give you that kind of advice. So it's super important now, like Trina said when she opened, have the conversations with people around you. Find the right information. And so that you can filter out motivation and separate it from the real world truths. And, that's essentially what we've got to do, start filtering out truth from fiction.
Yeah. Ooh, 100%. And I'll put it to you then, Maggie, because now Sandiso has just touched on the education space. You need to find the right information. What about somebody who just wants to start a business out of passion? Which we all know a case or two, or even more, of people that just said, you know what, now I'm just into fashion. Let me just sew my clothes and off we go. But what is the importance then of actually getting an education? Is it even important? Or should it be out here just saying, you know what, just go and do the business? What I want to be.
That's also a good question. On that, you touched on something that when you start a business, you need to identify the need that is needed in order to be able to have a solution or find a solution for it. I think what we struggle with as entrepreneurs, right? When we start a business, you were talking about 1,000-day rule, about 3 years, that's where you can start seeing some changes in your business. So we tend to jump into one business and say, okay, this is what I like, I'm passionate about it, I'm just gonna get my company registered, have tax clearance, your typical compliance. But what is it that makes you stand out? You need education, whether you like it or not. Being in training, I can be accredited with CETA, your MERCETA, but what makes me stand out from my competitors? So you need to know your business inside out. Education is key. Even if, in my sense, where I give skills program, it's still education, right? You need to know the market you're going in, who are you targeting. So, and this thing of wanting to be jack of all trades in one business it's such a terrible thing. It's rather have an umbrella, say Funza, and then there's Funza Institute, and there's Funza Plumbing, and Funza so forth, not in one business, because that shows you that you don't know really what you're passionate about or what you know. And also in that, don't just be like what OC here is doing, is that she went and opened an app, you know, to stand out. What is it that your company will see? People will say, okay, I love this about Funza, and we went the portal way. We also having an application that will make us stand out from our competitors. You know, if you're going to open a construction company, what is it that you have that will stand out? Are you NHBRC registered? Are you CIDB registered? If you've got a cleaning company, what makes you stand out? Are you NCCA registered, or you just like the fact that I love cleaning and I've got a company registration and tax clearance, I'm going to make it, and I'm black, I'm female, I'm youth? Because I think also for us female, that's one thing that's killing us, that I tick all the right boxes, they're gonna take me, they're not gonna take Fadvake. You know what I mean? And that destroys you. Then you end up cutting off the compliance side of it. You don't want to grow and learn into your business. So that's what we're doing, and I like the fact that I'm sitting next to such brilliant minds, you know what I mean, that are thinking out of the box. They're not just sitting here saying, I do poetry and that's it. You know, they're going digital way, and that's inspiring. And yeah, so just to get to your, I think I said a mouthful, but yeah, stand out, you know, just don't have passion and say, okay, I love cleaning and this is what I want to do. Okay, about cleaning, what can I do to make me stand out, you know? Have NCCA, learn your business. What is the new things? How can I be accredited? What is Bitvest doing that's making them stand out till today? Am I ISO registered? You know, what's ISO? You know, get yourself educated about such things. So that when you're sitting next to someone, like now, if Ostina asks me about training, about accreditations, and I'm clueless, I just know that I'm accredited, but I don't even know what a QMS is. It won't work. Yeah.
Can we, hello, testing. Can we agree that the speakers on stage are fire?
Yeah.
So, you know, wow. Okay, before I get in my feels, guys, let's take this home, né? Because we're having a digital a conversation about building digital wealth. But I almost feel like we don't have a case study for this thing.
Yeah.
Let's unpack the runway, right? Let's unpack the small business runway, and I'll give you just a quick background, just to you know, give you an idea, right? I registered small business runway in 2019. Only started trading 2020. So hopefully 2021, 22, 20. Hopefully next year I'll start making money, right? 3 years. I can adjust. Okay, so now we are online. We've got a website. We don't have an app, but you know, for us it's like, okay, content creation, sharing our story, and you know, doing this movement, right? But now, as much as people know it, we've got followers. I mean, we've got over 20,000 followers on Facebook. We've got over 9 on Instagram, 9,000 followers on Instagram, Twitter. But the point is that people know about this business. I have not sat in any corporate meeting, and I attend a lot. You know, we obviously present, and then we get called into a lot of meetings to say, come and present this idea. There's not a single person who I've ever walked out of a meeting and said, this is a crap idea, stop it. But after that, and I can name and shame them all, because I've been around. I've been to your banks, I've been to your telecoms, I've been to government, and said, guys, this is the runway. Don't support me. Support the runway, right? And till this day, I do not have any financial, you know, sort of sponsors, people that are continuously like, this is the money we're giving you to run a show. So everything is from pocket. What is happening, guys? Go runway. Can we unpack the runway? How do we make the most of our digital opportunities? How do we get sponsors? How do we get people to, government or corporate, whatever, to work with us? And then how do we also, our staying power, are we just going to be famous on social media and it's not going to translate to the bottom line?
So that's a brilliant question. So the rules of the game are exactly the same. So, and I think the most important thing as an entrepreneur, especially when we go digital, is we should be very clear about popularity and customers. So typically what happens, Nina, is in corporate offices, when you go speak to financiers and those kinds of things, typically we're not speaking to entrepreneurs. We're not speaking to people who've had businesses. We're speaking to people who've had jobs all their lives. They are comfortable. Even if they don't reply to your email this month, they still get paid. So they've got no incentive to want to finance your business, particularly not because they are haters, because they simply don't understand what the other side looks like, how the other side lives. Which is why it's important as entrepreneurs for us to spend a lot of time figuring out who our customers are, who has a problem. So I'll make an example with everybody in this room, and yourself too, right? So typically when I send to my WhatsApp, I can expect a reply in 24 hours, right? So where's everybody else? It's an hour, it's 10 minutes kind of thing. And this probably happens with everybody else in this room. Why? Because you're busy running your business. Entrepreneurs are typically so busy in their business, they don't have time to look up. So in a situation where we're doing business with entrepreneurs, it becomes important for us to say, where are entrepreneurs and how do we get to them? And typically you'll find any program or any activation, if you look at the major banks or whatever, where they run interactions with entrepreneurs, they will go door to door, business to business. Because entrepreneurs know other entrepreneurs. So I found out about Business Runway through Vanele. Okay? So Vanele is an entrepreneur. So I found out about Business Runway through Vanele, and I've since shared then the Business Runway with everybody else. Customers are exactly the same. All you've got to do is find that first person who's got the recurrent problem you're solving. Because that person probably knows somebody else who also wants livestock, right? So if you're selling livestock, you can't go to the suburbs and try and sell live chickens to people in the suburbs. You go to the townships, where there's funerals every weekend, where there's weddings every weekend.
Okay, so where should we be going?
Where you should be going,
yeah.
Or you mean as
That's
Business
right.
Runway? Oh, perfect. So that's a brilliant question.
Yeah.
Go door to door with your entrepreneurs. So what I'm saying is, get into spaces where, for instance, if you go to Tembisa in Joburg, or if you come here to Polokwane, where there is a shopping center, a mall, some kind of center where there are businesses, speak to business owners door to door. And the reason is, a lot of these people often have each other on their WhatsApp groups. Share a pamphlet. Hey guys, the Business Runway is coming into town. Please invite your people. It's on such and such a date. You would have more impact spending 2,000 rands doing pamphlets and going door to door than spending 10,000 rands marketing on social media. Because I, for instance, don't look at my social media unless I really need to. And when I am on social media, I'm only running ads and I'm paying for some stuff, or I'm responding to customer inquiries. So as a runway, go door to door. Ask people to add you on their WhatsApp groups.
Okay.
Can I just have a quick question? I just want to find out so I understand. A Business Runway, what's your key? What do you specialize in? Is this what you specialize in only? Like seminars?
Okay, so in Runway is a platform.
Okay.
Right, first and foremost. We are a platform for three things. I mentioned them in the beginning. We want to impart education or knowledge on as many entrepreneurs as possible. And then the other one is interaction, the other one is transactions. We're trying to build an entrepreneurship ecosystem. We're trying to create a movement so that we don't have, our old brothers, sisters, uncles sitting, in the township, not knowing what to do, and really just depending on the one or two people that are working within, their street or at home, whatever the case may be. But how do we mobilize for more and more people to actually start being self-sufficient and independent? So that's basically the whole runway and the movement. But day to day, we run a digital marketing company, and then some consultation services as well as PR. But maybe you should understand the backstory. Hey guys, again, if you've heard the story, please bear with me. I started a runway out of my own frustrations. I was very frustrated in 2013. I tried to start a business. I registered it. It was a brand activations company, and I said I'm going to now, get these campaigns, and we're going to be in all the malls, and we're going to do activations. Cool. I went from paying for website, 5,000, because you have to start somewhere, right? You have to have some kind of presence or some kind where somebody can refer back to. I spent 5,000 rand on websites. Okay, where do I get my customers? Somebody's like, hey, I can help you with a proposal. I spent another 5,000 rand getting a proposal together. Proposal has to also come with financials, because now you need to kind of do your 3-year projections. Went to another consultant, any money footy. So at the end of the day, I literally was spending money without even having a cent in the bank and still not knowing how to move forward with my business. So I was like, no man, there has to be a place, there has to be somewhere where as an entrepreneur, you can go, or as a startup business, somebody who's thinking about starting a business, you can go and you can get the education and you can get somebody who can help you mingle in the setup, and you can actually then help somebody to help you facilitate your transactions. That's the whole,
Okay.
That's how it was birthed, basically.
Yeah, so it's more on education as well.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking that why don't you approach it in that manner where it's more of education, you want to train, especially because I'm in a mining area, and that's how I actually started when I got into training, is that I went to the mines, I proposed that we need to train on financial literacy, because that's my background. And then also I realized that, okay, we can go into business startup. It's similar to what you're doing. To say, there's a lot of local companies or businesses, they want to get into business, but they don't have the clues, they don't have the equipment and the knowledge. Why don't we, as a mine, sponsor me, where we can go and train people and mentor them into business? So maybe get it in a way of educating, because the mines like saving money, and they do, and to look good. So if we are able to empower 10 people in the communities with business startup or how to run their own businesses, we did something. We made a change, and maybe I was thinking that could be an approach that you take in more of an educational field, because even Ramaphosa, that's how much money, like the budget. The most money when it comes to the budget, or it's education. So maybe if you take it in the route of educating people when it comes to businesses, and then you introduce seminars as well, I think that way it might work. Just thinking out of my head as well, yeah.
So you just unpack something there. So education gets the most budget spent. Yeah, of course. Woo, guys!
I think I can just add on that as well. I actually like what you both said. He mentioned about the door-to-door. It's a strategy which I've also tried, and it helped me. But I didn't go door-to-door as in houses. I went to hospitals, I went to sites. So we are actually now supplying a whole lot to hospitals and security sites, because not everyone really wants to go to a shop and go and spend 130 on eggs. So we've given them that discount that you are our people. You have to assure people that you are our people. These discounts are only for you. And it sticks in their mind.
Y'all are my people.
So I think another approach we could have the business runway is schools. High school, you are there. I'll speak from experience. I'm in high school, I'm here, I know that there is education, but I know that I don't need it everywhere for what I want to do. So we have those students which know that I'm getting educated, but out of high school, when I finish high school, where do I go? I have this brilliant idea which needs funding, which I need help, but where do I go? They need to know that there's business runway that they can run to.
Woo! Yes!
Yeah. So I think that's one thing that can help.
Okay, but now where is the money? Like, how do I convince people to give me money? Because let's be honest, you say a ticket is 200 rand, not everybody can afford it. And then you get those, I don't know, some people are like, but then why don't you charge 500 rand a ticket? I'm like, I'm already struggling to get people to pay the 200 rand just as an entry to have access, to this information, to have access to networking opportunities, to have access to, people that I think is, high esteemed individuals, people that have run successful businesses. Where is it not translating?
So, I think a good start for any business, right, is you want to serve, say, 1 million people, but only 500 can afford to pay. The reason that 500 can afford to pay is because that problem is painful enough. Her point, her suggestion is brilliant. So I'll tell you, I used to work for an accelerator, right? So an accelerator is essentially a company that helps grow businesses. We used to work with the mines here in Limpopo. Okay? Where the money is in training the suppliers to the mines. Localization requires that the mines procure services from local businesses. Local businesses and local communities don't know how to run anything. Number one. Number two, a lot of that education is in English. Nobody presently is going into the communities, and the mines are desperately looking.
Please don't steal my idea, guys.
So, presently, nobody is going to the mines to say, listen, we can help these local communities get ready to supply. Because what happens is, when the mines don't procure from local communities shut the mines down. That's 26 million rands a day. So they are willing to pay a lot of money to have that done. So I would say from a runway perspective, that should be the largest portion of your revenue, so that when they pay that, then this can be sponsored or free or subsidized.
It's actually part of their mining charter to say that, they have to empower local communities. And now you find that most businesses in the mining area, they would strike, but they don't have the compliance, the knowledge how to run a business. Somebody will just come to you, but I can register a company, and they think that's it. That's what business is. When you look at their company profile, this person has 10 services. I do cleaning, catering, construction, training, seminars, poetry, and you ask yourself, what do you do? What is it? Like, what's your niche? Why should we hire you? And what makes you stand out? And because we're talking digital, Anglo is looking at going green. It's looking at technological ideas. What can make you stand out? Not only Anglo, all the mines are trying to go into the green environment. So I think digital is the way to go. I think that's why as a company we decided to, with licenses, when you do lifting machines, you need to have a license. So have an app. You don't have to carry a paper around. So come up with ideas, and this will work for you so much because they so want to empower local businesses. But because they don't have the knowledge, they don't have mentors, they don't, everyone wants to do business. I'm sure if you go to Mukopani, every second person has a company registered. However, they don't have the knowledge. So that could be your first approach. And then, like he's saying, that will sponsor seminars. And people will be interested because now they know you and what you've done for other. Even Anglo, if you do the trainings, we're like, okay, we've got 10 people that come from business runway programs. The seminar will definitely work and they'll sponsor you. So that's the approach that go for it. And while we're still there, maybe we can Lina, this is the person you can talk to.